morning. We're in Oregon, and I am so excited to be here. So we're actually going to be on the road for 2 weeks. 14, actually 16 days total, but 2 of those days are basically travel days to Utah and back. And I am so excited. This is bucket list for me. Pacific Northwest has been on my bucket list for years, and it's just always seems to never quite pan out, but it finally has. We're gonna hit Crater Lake first thing here, and then we're gonna work our way north on the Pacific Crest Overland route, mostly following that route, clear to Washington, and then we're gonna hook on to the Washington Pacific Crest Overland route, and little ways about Mount Rainier, or right after it, I'm gonna hook over, shoot across to the Olympic Peninsula, and spend 3 or 4 days on the peninsula doing probably the Olympic Traverse Overland route, and then we're gonna shoot back across, possibly, and finish the Washington Pacific Crest, the rest of the Washington PCOR. If I end up having not enough time, I can cut some of the northern Washington PCOR off, or the more of the central. So it's gonna be a lot of driving over the next 2 weeks, but man, we're gonna see a lot of stuff. So I'm excited to bring you guys along with me. I'm excited to share. I hope I can capture a fraction of what it's going to be like in real life. That's the goal. That's always the goal. But I'm excited. We're up on this ledge. That spot would have been a lot less windy down in there. But look at these views. Who knows how much of the day I was just walking around with that sweet pine needle sticking out of my hat, because I certainly don't. We're gonna see so much. I have something like 38 waterfalls marked, 30 something waterfalls marked, 6 or 7 hot springs. So much stuff. All of the stuff. We're doing all of the stuff, and I am so excited. I'm excited to experience this. I'm excited to capture it. And I'm excited to share it. Because I've spent years watching other people, other creators, capture the Pacific Northwest here. Countless videos, hours and hours. And now, finally, I can return the favor to some people, hopefully, out there. So, unfortunately, I had an SD card corrupt, and I lost all of my dash cam over the hood type POV footage from this day and the next day. So it's made it a little hard to tell a cohesive story of the day, especially like traveling between stops. Because the first few days here, I didn't really use the drone or the 360 camera much. I was just relying on that dash cam footage a lot for kind of the filler story of traveling between destinations. So it kind of seems like I just kind of like hop around from stop to stop and just appear places. I kind of tried to salvage it with what I could, but that's why my apologies. After this video and possibly the next one, I have a lot more footage, and that problem should be remediated. I almost ran out of gas twice coming here, misjudging both the distance between the next gas station and my fuel mileage because of climbing hills and stuff. At one point last night, at like shortly after entering Oregon, I was on fumes, legitimate fumes. Like my gauge, my range gauge stopped reading at like 10 miles left, and it just switched to low, and the fuel station was like 12 miles away. I was on fumes. I am alone at Cloud Cap Overlook up here. The other viewpoints on the other side are super busy and crowded, but geez, totally alone here. This is either the deepest or the coldest lake, or both. I can't remember which in the nation. It's like 1,700 feet deep. There's no inlet, there's no outlet for the water. It's all just snowmelt. And this is a volcano caldera. So the snow over thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, whatever years, has just filled this caldera up. And the water has no way out. So it's very, very, very cold, very, very deep. Just in a volcano caldera. How cool is that though? How cool is that? So beautiful. What do you think about it, Goob Magoob? You think it's pretty? I think you're pretty. It's pretty. Check these views out. Crazy. did most of the rim drive, the viewpoints. That place is really cool. It's really beautiful, but I feel like I've seen most of what there is to see in like a few hours. So definitely not some place that you'd want to dedicate an entire trip solely for. Really cool place though. So now we're heading north on the PCOR. Next stops are, well, fuel first, and then some waterfalls, and I think it's Cougar. It's either Cougar Hot Springs or Umpqua Hot Springs. One of the two should be within the next few hours here. We got a lot of ground to cover today, and it's already 11 o'clock. I shouldn't have got such a late start, but it is what it is, I guess. This is why you always carry JB Welds. This is already open for some reason. I'm not sure how that happened, but so there is a hairline crack right here. It's so small you can barely see it, but it is definitely large enough to spray water out of, annoyingly enough. Oh, this stuff stinks. I keep losing track of where it is. It's so small. But the fact that it's small should, in theory, mean that this JB Weld will work quite well in sealing it. Alright. Need some way to keep that at an angle like that. There we go. So, even if that doesn't seal, as a last resort, I can just use it as basically a faucet. It's not the most ideal, but it'll do if I have to. Need a monster. Need our foot long, some lemonade, mayo, pickles, bread and butter pickles. Don't mind if I do. All right. Gabby, no. Now our pickle jar is acting up. Gabby, get over here. That thing better not spill in there, or I swear. We have happened upon what I came to the Pacific Northwest for. Moss-covered forests. Look at that. Oh my God. We're on our way up to Waterfalls. And I can already tell this is going to be a serious problem this trip. All I want to do is stop every single moss covered rock I see. I want to stop and take a picture or video. This is going to be a problem. I'm going to waste all my time on 3 hikes. Oh my God. We actually didn't end up making it to the falls. I had Gabby off leash and we came upon a wooden walkway type thing we had to cross. And at 6 years old, she seemingly suddenly developed a terrifying fear of wooden walkways. She turned around and ran back to the Jeep, ignoring my recalls. She's never exhibited that behavior before, but by the time I caught up with her, got back to the Jeep, I didn't want to turn around and redo the hike. Oh, this one. We are going to Tokiti Falls. It looks awesome. This is one of my top on the list. Oh my God, look at this moss. This is one of the top on my list to see. So, excited we're going. Look at this trail. This is such a vibe. Abby has developed a sudden fear of wooden stairs. Gotta go. She is 6 years old and seen many a stair in her life, and she is terrified of these wooden stairs. The place is pretty cool though. Absolutely. We are going to Umpqua. I think Umpqua Hot Springs. This is beautiful. Look at this river. Gabby is suddenly terrified of wooden bridges. Gabby, come on. Come on. No. There you go. It's a cool little bridge. We are not making good time at all today. It's 3:30. And I originally planned on being at this hot spring right here at like noon. 11:12. So we are not making good time. I think this is only like a 0.8 mile out and back. It's closed from sunset to sundown, which is strange for a hot spring, but so we got this one, and then we got one just a little ways down the road called I forgot what, might be Bagby. I can't remember for sure. So we're hiking to this one, soak for like a half an hour, and then head out. But there is a lot of people at this one, a ton of people at that trailhead. So it's probably going to be packed at the hot springs. I won't record much, if anything at all. This is a trek up there here. It's kind of hot. It's like 80. Jeep's at 80 degrees. Oh my Lord. things I do. Love ever hurt never. That's phenomenal. These springs were pretty busy, so I captured what little I could while being respectful and not pointing the camera at other people. We just got out of Umpqua Hot Springs. Honestly, pretty dope. It was so busy. It's a Thursday afternoon. In the middle of the afternoon, I got there at like 3:30, and it was still packed with people. I cannot imagine that place on a Friday or Saturday night. But I mean, there's a reason it's packed. It's pretty cool. So next we are going to let's see. We're going to try to make it to McCready Hot Springs. There's a lookout tower on the way. And it looks like quite the route. I don't know if we're going to make it. Well, we kind of have to make it. I guess we don't. But we're just really behind schedule here so far. I probably, by the time I stop today, I've probably covered half the distance that I planned on covering today, so that's kind of annoying, but it is what it is, I guess. We're cutting off this loop right here, because all that's there is some waterfalls. I mean, it would be cool, but I'm not gonna have time. I don't know what these purple flowers are, but there is so many of them. I ended up getting to McCready Hot Springs about an hour or so before sunset. I wasted about 45 minutes trying to scout a campsite nearby before dark, which ultimately failed after I drove clear up try to get to a ridgeline that didn't pan out for camping. Then I settled on just camping right nearby the trailhead, right off the road to the hot spring. And then after getting in the hot spring, I kind of decided last minute to just push on to further down the route to a lookout tower that I thought might have good camping nearby it that I had found on Google Earth prior to the trip. So I ended up doing about an hour or so of night driving, which wasn't too bad. The fawn didn't get the memo that they're leaving the road. Apparently. No, we'll figure it out now. The further I travel north here, slowly but surely, the more green and mossy it's getting. And it is such a vibe. So I have these hot spring ruins marked. And unfortunately, it's now closed. 24-hour surveillance signs. That would have been cool to see. I guess it's like an old abandoned hot spring ruin. This is why people should just leave hot springs natural. Leave them alone. Because then if you develop them and it doesn't work out, then what? You just no one can access them anymore? What is that about? That would have been cool to see. That was actually a marker of interest from the Oregon BDR that I had. That's where I got that waypoint. And it is now thoroughly blocked off with 24-hour surveillance, no trespassing signs. So that's annoying. This is interesting. Assuming that's a dam complex. One thing that I've been struggling with, especially this trip so far, is I just don't have enough hands. Like, I want to video things, and then I also want to take pictures of things, and then I also want to get one angle of something, and then another angle of something. It's mostly the picture and video thing. Like, I can't. It takes a lot of time to stop, get video with one device, take a picture with my camera, or do them both with my camera, but switch modes and then set up the exposure, take off MD filter, etc. with my camera to switch to photos. If I had about 3 more hands, it would be ideal. I want to be flying the drone, but then I also want to be taking pictures with my camera, but I can't do both really. I can kind of do both, but not in this area with this many trees. The drone will just lose me into the tree cover. Can somebody lend me a pair of hands? Please and thank you. It appears like I'm the first one up in this campsite in quite a while. As you can see, I am doing a little vehicle-based bushwhacking at the moment. Quite the vibe. I think we're out of it here. There we go. There was a fire pit as a reward at the end up there after all that bushwhacking, but it was pretty tight in there. I could have set up shop, but there wasn't like a view. It wasn't a very spectacular campsite, to be quite honest, so I'm going to go somewhere else. We are parked here, camped here actually. I think we're just going to camp right here. It is just kind of right off the road here, but I don't think this road's that heavily trafficked. Good. And we are hiking into McCready Hot Springs right now. There's actually 2 soaking areas for McCready. There's one right off the highway on the other side that goes on that side of the river. And that's like the more popular one. But there's this one too. It says closed to sunset, sunrise. But sometimes one must. Look at these trees. And there's no cars out there. So, no. Maybe I'm gonna get lucky and get all of them myself. Look at this log. I'm gonna have a serious problem, especially when I get to the Olympic Peninsula. I think
I'm gonna blow through my SD cards in no time. Because I want to capture all the footage of all the moss. All the moss. All of it. All of the footage of all the moss and all the ferns and all the trees. Oh my god. So this one's pretty cool. It's really warm. It's really muddy on the bottom though. Muddy and algae. Algae? It's warm though. There's this cool little wall thing going on. I'm not sure. Comes out of the ground. I was sitting over there and the mud was burning my ass. There's more springs on the other side of the river over there. Trying to see the other springs over there on the other side of the river. But I don't know if you can hear that, but that is a very noisy train. And I am very tempted to leave right now. Because the road is right here. Like, I can hear traffic. That train will wake me up if it comes in the middle of the night, and I'll be quite annoyed. I might. 8 o'clock, I'm 8. I think what I'm gonna do, I didn't bring my towel, that's nice. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna head back to the Jeep. I think I seem to remember this lookout tower that's a little ways down the route here. I seem to remember I scouted a possible campsite near it. Might just head up there and camp. Go to that camp spot. Hope it's a good one. On Google Earth, it looked like it was. On Google Earth, it checked out and everything. Because then that'll be really good views in the morning, I think. And I'm also quite behind right now, unfortunately. I need to make up some distance, especially since tomorrow, I just realized, is there's a few hikes, including Tamagotchi Falls, aka Blue Pool, which is like, I think it's like a 4-mile hike. So that's gonna take a chunk of time, a 4-mile hike. So I need to make some distance, I think. Honestly, I used to talk shit on how expensive off-road lighting is, like quality stuff like KC Highlights or Baja Designs, etc. But the difference they make in just like, look at this. It's like I can see everywhere. I can see off to the side. I can see 37 miles in front of me. Just how much more enjoyable and feasible they make night travel is astounding. We decided to drive up to right by a lookout tower to camp, and I can already tell from in the dark, I can tell that it was a very good idea. I can tell that it is going to be fantastic in the morning. So I'm quite excited for that. Quite excited. Wake up and see what that's all about. I'm on a ridge, but I'm just enough in a little group of trees to be sheltered from most of the wind, I think. So it's pretty much, it's a vibe. I'm gonna make some steak. My JB Weld did not work. I just turned it on and the water blew right through it. So that's a vibe. I do still have basically a damn tap. A faucet on the end of a hose, essentially, is what I have without this. This is what broke. There's a crack. So when I turn the pump on, it just sprays the vengeance out of there. But that still does work quite well as like a tap, basically. That's all it is. I need to check my breaker for my DC charger because it is not charging at the moment. I'm not quite sure why. I'm assuming the breaker has either flipped back here or something's pushed against it just right to flip it. In the flipped position. So that's not a particularly good sign. This DC to DC charger issue would plague me for the rest of the trip. I have a 50 amp DC to DC charger along with my 200 watts of solar, and I have a 60 amp breaker both at the vehicle battery and at the lithium batteries in my bed. And the one under my hood kept tripping, and I couldn't figure out why. Eventually, I learned that heat can affect breakers and make them trip earlier than they're supposed to. And being under my hood, that's what was happening, because I did eventually notice that in the mornings, it would work for a while. I would reset it at night, and it would work for a while in the mornings, and then eventually by like noon, it would just keep tripping, and I couldn't keep it untripped, basically. Luckily, I had a 10 amp trickle charger already wired to my batteries that's I keep in my bed to the side of my fridge, and I just use it to help keep my batteries topped up in the winter time when there's not much solar and when my Jeep's parked more in the driveway. So I ended up just bringing that 10 amp charger into my cab and just plugging it into my 400 watt plug from my built-in 400 watt plug in the back seat there. And that, along with my solar was still working. Kept my batteries charged pretty well.